Hey guys, so welcome to the Zack Scriven podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to Terrell, who is another industrial automation engineer who has an interesting story starting in the military, becoming fascinated with how digital equipment can make the real life, things move, and how he's transitioned from, an apprenticeship all the way up through an automation engineer who's actually leading automation workshops in Williston when he's up there, the Williston Automation Synergy. And he's been a long time LinkedIn collaborator. Like, we've been going way back. He's always been supportive of me and my mission and helping change the industrial automation industry. So I was more than pleased to talk to him on this podcast, share his story. And we talk about his story, but then we also talk about me going to Dubai next week. And we also talked about, we didn't talk about this, but coming up in May, I was actually deciding maybe I shouldn't release this episode, but I'm going to release it anyway because in May, I'm doing Automation Month. So an entire month on the Zack Scriven podcast. We started it last year, Automation Month. We had folks like Walker and Chris Slag. We're going to have all those people on again. And if you are an automation engineer or you know an automation engineer who would like to be on the Zack Scriven podcast, Automation Month, it's happening in May. Check it out. Links in the doobly-doo, links in the description. Anyways, enjoy the podcast, you guys. And stay tuned for the next one because Dan Willis, we have, who's a LinkedIn creator, marketing guru, and it's going to be super exciting. So let me know what you guys think. Peace out.
All right, man. Let's do it. This is the Zack Scriven podcast. We have Terrell. Is that saying it right?
Yes, sir.
And Sean, this is like the first time we've actually chatted, but we've engaged online and on LinkedIn like for what seems like a year now.
A good bit, yeah.
And we both have a shared background of the industrial automation, but also creating content on LinkedIn, and we're kind of building this community. You started, your own automation, like PLC programming free course, which was amazing.
Yes, sir.
And so I want to talk to you a little bit about that, but why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and say what you got to say.
I'm not sure that I have a whole lot to say, but I'm Sean. I am up here on rotation in the Bakken, working in the oil field, and I decided that to build a community up here would probably benefit the area. Williston is a small town that suffers from a lot of outsiders. And one of the things that I'm a rotational worker. I work up here 14 days at a time. So one of the things that I could do to kind of help out with the community is to offer my skills and offer my ability to maybe teach some people some things around here and maybe increase level of knowledge and help get some guys paid a little bit more.
Awesome. So for anyone who doesn't know, Williston is in North Dakota, right?
That's correct.
And the Bakken is like an ancient oil formation, right?
Yeah, that's the formation.
And so how is the oil economy doing up there right now, by the way?
It's okay. I mean, the Bakken is one of the older plays. There's not a ton of activity that's picked up. It's not doing like down in West Texas where everybody's hearing about the $100,000 to a year to drive a truck and stuff like that. It's definitely not the same up here. It's a lot more relaxed, and it is a tougher environment to get guys up here.
How
However,
cold is it right now?
What's that?
What's the weather like right now?
It's actually not bad today. It's just above freezing. It's like right at 33 degrees. But we had quite a bit of snow that happened about 3 days ago, and then with it warming up like this, a lot of water is going to run off, and of course it's going to freeze tonight, so that's going to be lots of fun. So that's just a constant challenge.
Awesome.
Yeah. So so that's the deal up here is it's just a fight in the cold, and one of the things I was concerned about was starting the Automation Synergy meetup was getting guys to come back out of their house a little bit later at night, because most of the people over here work 10 or 12-hour days, and then once you've kind of gone home for the day and it's -8 degrees outside, kind of difficult to muster up that motivation to go back out, right?
Right.
And fortunately, I have gathered a group of young professionals that really they're inspired to learn. They're inspired to do different things, to be introduced to a world of SCADA, especially. They really kind of latched on to doing that kind of stuff, and you know, it's fun.
Awesome. So these are like kind of like maintenance engineers or that are trying to like level up their career or.
It's automation techs, instrument techs, guys that specifically deal a lot with boots on the ground, floor level maintenance, installation, construction.
Electrical.
Guys, a lot of electricians they're installing these components and they're wiring up these components and they are dealing with them day in and day out and have not a whole lot of idea about what they do on the other end, of that wire. So that was another major thing is it actually makes everyone's life better when the guys who are installing your equipment have an idea of what it is that you need them to do when they install it, how it's supposed to be wired up, what an input is, why an input doesn't go to an input, or why an input doesn't go to power, and where a loop power device is. There's a very good level of knowledge of the automation techs who've been out here for a while. But again, we are experiencing an upswing in the oil industry, and there are several younger guys, younger people. There's a lot more new guys that have been brought out, and just helping to level up their knowledge helps everyone out here because it makes the job go smoother. So simple things like that I can do to make a difference out here. I don't know.
Yeah, and just working with guys that care and show an interest, and even like it definitely resonates with me is being out on the startup and working with the electrician, and they have at least an understanding of what I got to do on the PLC side of things, and they're speaking my language and like I got your inputs lined up for you, like let's do our loop checks, and it's not like a finger pointing battle game. It's like we're working together, we're gonna get the job done, and it's gonna go smoother.
Oh, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Doing your pre-commissioning or your startup stuff, having an electrician who understands, end to end, how VFDs and the instrumentation and the scaling and set points and all the different aspects of that he's running around taking care of things before you can even find him, because he's been on a job site a couple of days before you, and they're able to point you in the right direction because they know what you need. What you're going to ask, and that is a crucial step to getting some of these, especially like these bigger jobs where we're rolling out, 30, 35 sites with a change or something like that. So
right. So it kind of makes me wonder how you got involved in this industry, because it's always a very unique story. Everyone that I talk to, it's it's very interesting to hear how you got involved in the industry.
Well, I fell in love with automation when I was in the Navy. I was on submarines. I was a fire controlman, which is weapons. We track contacts and shoot weapons. The first time as a junior sailor that I was on deployment, and I had to do a torpedo shot or training as part of my qualifications. I'll never forget the moment that I pushed a button on a touchscreen in the control room, and the front end of this ship came alive. It just this ram ejected the whole front end, just made this shuddered, and it was this incredible piece of machinery that came to life. And I was obsessed with how did that happen, because prior to that, my entire experience with computers, being in that generation between the Generation X and the millennials, I had a lot of experience, but it was prior to that, the inputs and outputs of a computer were a keyboard and mouse and maybe a printer. All of a sudden now it was alive. It was something that did something, and I wanted to explore that. So,
Oh, that's amazing, man. Well, first of all, thank you for your service, and I just hope the NSA doesn't like pull this podcast off of YouTube.
oh, no.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why don't you maybe talk a little bit more about like what you do? Like kind of what's your day to day look like up there in the Bakken?
Sure. I'm out here as a commissioning tech. Sponsored. I'm contracted to a customer full time who has me on projects, and I'm out here, like I said, to do commissioning. However, we also deal with the maintenance. We deal with the MOCs and any of the changing, any of the documentation that comes from the field. And the job is to work capital projects from beginning to end as they start up. The engineering has already been done. However, we get involved with it when it comes to starting with the programming, working with our engineer at Taiga to get everything encompassed in the program, any changes that come up as we're building the site, and to roll those things out and get the site started up. And then, of course, support the follow-on to that for several months. We always end up dealing with lots of operator calls and questions and things like that. So
Cool. So, what's your kind of your platform of choice, or what are you most comfortable in as far as PLC or SCADA?
As far as SCADA, I've worked a lot more with Wonderware. Before coming to the Bakken, I was offshore in the Gulf of Mexico, and that system was an on-site Wonderware that I was out there as a SCADA tech, and spent a lot of time developing orchestra graphics, changing over stuff that was not, it was, when I started out there was 3,500 windows that had been it was the same thing over and over, where you click this button and spent a lot of time developing faceplates, like I said, doing orchestra graphics and things like that. Did an ignition rollout with another field. That was lots of fun, learning that, getting involved with some of the Python stuff, and continuing improvement, working with production to actually make the SCADA something that was useful for them. And that's my what I like to do. That's what I enjoy doing. As far as for automation, the customer here uses 100% virtually all Allen Bradley. We have a pretty standard deployment rollout of I/O and everything. It's a fairly standardized package that goes out the door, and that's one of the things that I really kind of have latched onto is the object-oriented nature of some of these more advanced programs. Because when I was offshore, it was Logic 500, 6.5s, 6503s with running blue hose. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. I mean, you can get a MicroLogix to have a nice somewhat of a structure if you kind of lay out your data properly, and you can kind of using like the ignition UDTs, you can kind of parameterize it to kind of make it map somewhat to object-oriented tag structure, but nothing like having like compact logics or control logics with your logically based tag names and add-on instructions. I mean, I just hate copying and pasting code from one rung to the next, and then making 10 changes for 10 pumps or whatever. So
and now V32 now has functions, right? So so instead of having the whole doing a whole EOI, you have a function which you can call, which is you instantiate, and then once it's called and it's produced and it returns a result, that it goes away. So it doesn't occupy memory space the same way that an AOI does. Like whereas an AOI is like closer to a class that you call. This is more like a method that can be called. Got it.
I did not know that that feature came out in 32. I heard Derek Stickle. He's another LinkedIn influencer.
Yes, sir.
Who's all about Allen Bradley, and he talked about the release of it. But I just learned something new right now. So thank you, Sean.
Yeah, I saw it in the release notes for V32, and I was this is one of the things with the Synergy. I've been working with CodeSys and TwinCat and some of these other programs that are IEC 611 1631. But can't remember the number now.
61131, I think.
31, yeah, 31-3 or whatever. I've been working with a lot of that just because if you can program in that, it's similar enough that I can make the connection through CCW and over to Logic 5000 from there. But working with these programs, you don't need a license. They come with a runtime that runs on your machine. You can do visualizations and do HMI programming right from the same system, and you can write a program, throw it on the runtime, have it run, and then have an HMI that's controlling it all at the same time, which is something that's very important for these guys to see, and for training to see what you're doing, how it's happening.
Yeah.
So.
Nothing like seeing it come to life for yourself. You ever do any work with like TIA Portal and Siemens PLCs, or another one that Walker always talks about is Easy Automation, Easy Rack PLC. Yeah,
I work with the Easy Rack or Easy Automation stuff, but I have done a lot with TIA Portal. As a matter of fact, that's the one system that I actually have formal training in using. When I first came to the oil field, I was not on the production side. I was working on drilling, and that was back in 2014. And the company that I worked for sent us to do TIA. Back then it was Step 7, before TIA Portal. But I actually got training on doing Step 7, so I have pretty strong background with Siemens, and they did everything in instruction list. So that was.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's where I started really seeing the power and the flexibility of using a text or a text list instead of doing ladder, or and understanding how the objects can be manipulated in that kind of way. And I started looking more into object-oriented type programming. And then I realized that some of the stuff that I was doing when I first got out of the military with the government, it was in Python and Python on Debian Linux, and it started to make a lot more sense. And seeing the power of how this can be implemented in lots of different ways. So. Sweet.
So tell me about how you've been leveraging LinkedIn and what your thoughts are on LinkedIn. What's happening on that platform?
It is an incredible community. I have I got away from doing all social media in November of 2016. Decided I needed to step away, and coming back to LinkedIn, there's a huge community of people who care, who are encouraging. I have not heard anything other than positivity from anybody out there, no matter what. And it's funny, even when you're having a discussion with someone about something as simple as a platform for programming or different use cases of different types of equipment, on some social media sites, that would instantaneously be a conflict, and with certain people would try and turn that into an argument. On LinkedIn, there's definitely always it always seems like there's an acknowledgement of, I understand. Well, my opinion is this, and this is why. But there's always it always seems like there's a lot deeper respect, and because there is a level of professionalism that people maintain, because you are associating yourself with a company, with a an employer, and it seems like there's definitely a sense of community that comes about because of that. So there is some fantastic people. Derek, you mentioned, Mr. Justin is amazing. Dustin and Brandon up in Canada have supported me. They put a PLC online for me to do some testing with, 1,800 miles away, and it was it's been nothing but good. Been nothing but good.
Yeah, that was a really cool story. I remember reading that. Yeah, man, I'm really excited. Do you have anything you want to, ask me or the audience, or anything you want to talk about?
What's 2019 looking like for Zack, man? What do you got coming up?
Oh man. Okay, so
plug your stuff.
yeah. Okay, so this month, going to actually in a few hours here, I'm going to Texas, taking the red eye, and we're filming some content for Walker. Obviously we're going to do some content for Intellic integration, but you've seen, I don't know if you saw his video, launched 4.0 solutions today. So, it's shameless plug. It's a distributor based, focused purely on 4.0 IoT based products like hardware, software, and no services. So, they'll be there to, help you out, help you pick the right platform. And they're going to be doing a lot of training videos and similar to kind of the stuff that we've been doing on, like with the whiteboard series, is building on that success. And really just trying to help scale. Walker's like a huge source of information and knowledge. And, he has a unique way of being able to convey that. Right. And, I'm really just thankful for him to, when I quit my job, like my formal, 9-to-5 desk engineering career job, he kind of really just took me under his wing. He saw my vision and, we've worked together, tirelessly over the last 6 months or so. And, really just started to pay off in December. We really started to hit our stride, and it worked out well that right around, he'd been planning 4.0 solutions for a while now. Yeah. And, so it's really exciting. And I just want to keep helping people like we've been helping, and helping Walker build his vision, and he helping me build my vision. So
that's a very fantastic. It's a fantastic relationship to see.
Yeah,
you have that ability to step away from being an engineer and go straight to creating content. I mean, that's it's pretty powerful, man. That's a blessing.
Yeah. And my uniquely situated in that I'm an engineer too, and I'm also creating content for people in that space. So one of a few people that do that. There's definitely like a group of us like yourself and Chris Lukey from Rockwell Automation has his manufacturing happy hour show, and a few other people on LinkedIn that I. Sean Tierney with his PLC training courses. So doing that, and I recently started doing freelancing on Upwork, so that's been going really well. Working for a company that services the oil and gas industry. Actually, they're making ozone water treatment skids, and so I'm doing it's Ignition Edge MQTT with an Ignition Central cloud server. Excuse me. And so that's like really exciting to actually like get my hands back on the system. So it's nice that it's more flexible and it's remote. So I can actually still balance, the media production and, the engineering work. So
yeah,
I'm actually going up. They have a manufacturing shop in Fort Collins, Colorado. So I'm going up there next week for a week. Yeah. So I'll actually get to meet the people that I've been working with for almost a month now in person. And then later in January, I'm going to Madrid for a few days before taking a flight over to Dubai for Aviva World. So, last year in September, I went to Aviva World North America right there in Dallas, and that was really cool. And now, Dubai's always been on my bucket list. I get inspired by big cities. I'm a big, huge New York junkie. And, it just really made sense for me to, to take that time to go out there, especially now that, I can do the Upwork remotely. Yeah. So I'm basically just going to be doing what I do normally, but just from, an Airbnb in Dubai, maybe.
That's fantastic. And,
that's pretty much it right now. February, I think the family and I we're planning a trip to Italy for a week. So that'll be cool. And then from there, South America is on my list this year that I want to hit.
Nice.
I want to hit all 7 continents, maybe not 7 continents this year, but I want to do like 12 countries this year.
Oh, very cool.
So,
yeah, the military and working as I didn't mention when I first got out of the military back in 2012, worked as a contractor for the Undersea Warfare Center out of Newport, Rhode Island. Basically, I was a field guy there. I'd get sent out into the field to go and do service and do installations and shipyard packages for submarines. And got the opportunity to do quite a bit of travel. With them, went the military. I went to several different countries, and then with the Warfare Center, I went to Guam quite a few times. Went to Hawaii a lot. It was very, very, very cool.
That's very awesome, man. I mean, when you're afforded the opportunity to travel, I think you got to seize it. And it's going to be tough. I'm going to be jet lagged, and I'm going to miss my family, at least when I'm in Dubai for a week. But it's one of those things, like, you never know when you're going to go, and I want to go to Dubai, so it's like one of the things I really want to do, and so that's what I do.
Dubai's cool.
Yeah. I'm going to get going here, Sean, but dude, thank you so much for doing this. It's awesome to finally talk to you.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and maybe we'll get together sometime. If you're in Dallas, I'm right down the road in Waco, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm saying, when you do an event in Dallas, I want to be there, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, all right, Zach, you have a good night, man.
Peace out, Sean.
Yeah.
Bye now.